I've briefly mentioned this in a few of my other videos, but I am going to be in Disneyland this summer. I'm going to be there from June 16th through 20th, and I'm going with my best friend Sarah from college. She is also a Disney fanatic like myself, so I know we're going to have a super awesome time there. In this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Disneyland trip planning process, since it is quite different than planning a trip to Walt Disney World, but in a lot of ways it is also way easier to plan. And if you're a true Disney fan and you've really only ever gone to Walt Disney World, you absolutely have to plan a trip to Disneyland. It should be on everybody's bucket list, and it truly is a magical place. Since I moved to Arizona for grad school, Disneyland has really become my home park, since obviously it's closest to me, and also I actually haven't been to Walt Disney World since 2011. Growing up, we used to go to Disney World about every 3 years. My dad, if you saw him in some of my other videos, is a huge Disney fan, and so growing up that's what we did. But then since moving to Arizona, it's really been kind of going to Disneyland, and so I'm super excited to be back in Disneyland this summer, and this is going to be my longest trip there. And something that's also kind of really exciting, but probably going to be really crazy, is that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is sort of going to be open when we're there. At Disneyland Park, Galaxy's Edge is going to be opening on May 31st, which previously it was reported, and Bob Iger even said it was going to be opening in June, so they're like, haha, it's actually May 31st. But really, from May 31st through June 23rd is basically just a big public soft opening. So you can only get into the land if you have a reservation, and as of filming, Disney has not released any information about this. What they have said is that if you are staying at one of the 3 Disneyland Resort hotels during that time, you are guaranteed a reservation time slot. But otherwise, you have to have valid theme park admission, and sometime later on the Disneyland website, they'll be releasing more information. But that's why I'm so thankful we are going during the time that we are, which is during this Phase 1 opening, because you can't queue up to get into the land during that time. You can only go in if you have a reservation, so it is going to be before the total craze. And really starting June 24th is when I'd say the land is like gonna officially open. That's when they're kind of going to their Phase 2. It's open to anybody. You can queue up and go in, but they are saying that they're limiting capacity. So it might just be that you're queuing up for a very long time to even have the chance to go inside. So I know I for sure will definitely be trying to get a reservation to check out Galaxy's Edge during our time there. As I've talked about, I'm not really a Star Wars person. Growing up, I was really into Indiana Jones and Back to the Future, so those were my favorite movies. And I'm not super big into sci-fi, but what I do love is I do love Disney and I do love theme parks, and this is a brand new Disney thing, a brand new land. So even if I'm not super into Star Wars, I'm still so excited to be able to see it. And I think it's interesting because it's not like Pandora, where nobody really remembers the movie Avatar or has any connection to it. So many people are so into Star Wars and are very intimately familiar with this series. So can somebody who really loves Star Wars and somebody who doesn't know much about it still have the same awesome experience in the land? Which I'm hoping the answer to that is yes, based on all of the imagery and previews that they've already shown. So kind of back on track to the actual trip planning, and hopefully some helpful tips when considering making a trip to the Disneyland Resort. Sarah and I actually booked our trip back in late November 2018, so this was something that we were kind of talking about and looking at, and for us it was important in terms of choosing the dates that we were going to visit. So obviously they just released when Galaxy's Edge was going to be opening, but we actually had a pretty good idea of when opening would be, because in the fall Disney released the calendar of annual pass holder blackout dates. And so this is what the blackout calendar looks like for the deluxe pass holders at Disneyland Park. So starting late June, these pass holders are blocked out only for Disneyland Park, and then they're blocked out the entirety of July and most of August. But they can get into California Adventure. So we knew based on these blackout date calendars that we do not want to be coming when these blackout dates start, because that has to mean that Galaxy's Edge is going to be fully open. Because if they're allowing them into California Adventure, that obviously means that something has to be going on in Disneyland Park. So really, when Disney is doing the phase 2 kind of full public opening of Galaxy's Edge, does pretty much exactly correspond with these annual pass holder blackout dates. And so thankfully, we are very lucky, and we couldn't make our trip any earlier because Sarah works at a school in Illinois, and the Illinois school year goes very late. So this was the very earliest we could do, and we knew we had to be out of there by the time that there were these blackout dates, because we do not want to be part of the crazy, crazy lines for Galaxy's Edge. So with our trip to Disneyland, we did book a full package, meaning we got our tickets and our hotel all together. But with Disneyland, there's really no need to book them all together. The best part of doing so really is the security of having your tickets locked down at that price and tied in with your hotel reservation. The maximum ticket length that you can buy for Disneyland is a 5-day ticket. So we opted to go for the full 5 days because for that price, I think it only comes down to like $60-some a day for a ticket. So going from 4 to 5 days is a very small amount. And then we also decided to add on park hoppers to our tickets, because a park hopper is a flat rate regardless of how many days your ticket is. So whether you have a 1-day ticket or a 5-day ticket, the park hopper add-on, it seems to be, is the same price. And so when we got our tickets, park hopper was just a $50 additional charge. So spread out over 5 days, an extra $10 per day to be able to park hop definitely seemed worth it. The previous 2 times I've been to Disneyland, we did not get park hoppers because we were there for very short stays. And so money-wise, it just didn't make sense. And I found you don't need a park hopper when you're there. But being able to park hop, since we're there for a longer amount of time, gives us more freedom, and I think we can maximize doing everything that we want to do. We also added on MaxPass to our tickets. And again, since we bought our tickets quite early, booked with our hotel, we got the cheaper price for MaxPass, which was $10 a day. Now it's gone up to $15 a day, which really is kind of pushing it. But using MaxPass last summer was super awesome. It made things so much easier. You could do so much more because the fast pass times on MaxPass generally come up sooner than the physical stands, so you can get on more rides. And then there's also the bonus of getting PhotoPass, so you can get all your ride photos, any of the actual PhotoPass people. And so that does mean with MaxPass, the longer your stay is, the more it's going to add up. And I think it's just that when you're buying a ticket, you can just apply MaxPass to the whole thing when we did it. So it wasn't like select the days you want, it was just get the MaxPass add-on. So the price that it was when we bought these tickets, the 5-day pass with a park hopper was, I think, about $370. And then adding MaxPass to it brought that up to $420 total. And so for less than $100 a day, being able to experience both parks was the best value that we could get. Now, of course, every year Disney seems to be raising those prices, so you can no longer get it quite that cheap. So with our ticket package, we do get one magic morning added. The first time I stayed, I was so confused by the concept of magic morning and extra magic hours, because at Walt Disney World, there's just extra magic hours, and that's if you're a guest of any of the on-site Disney resorts, you can get usually into the parks early or sometimes stay later depending on when that extra hour of the park is open. But Disneyland has kind of 2 split system. So they first do have extra magic hours. And if you're staying at any one of the 3 Disneyland resorts, you get into the park early every day of your stay with your valid ticket. But because there are only 3 on-site properties at Disneyland, there's so much off-property that they refer to as good neighbor hotels. So if you buy a 3-day or longer ticket, it doesn't have to be connected to a resort stay at all. You will get one magic morning, which basically means you have extra magic hours, but you only get it for 1 day. You can't get Magic Morning if you buy tickets in person at the ticket booth, but if you buy just a 3-day ticket online, you will still get that Magic Morning, even if you're not actually booked at any of the nearby hotels. But so that then gets into booking hotels. And so like I said, there are only 3 on-site properties at the Disneyland Resort. And because there are so few, that means that they are very expensive. I guess you could kind of fit them into like the breakdown of like deluxe, moderate, and value, but even then it doesn't work at all. So I have stayed at Paradise Pier Hotel and at the Disneyland Hotel before because I was with my family and we were there for very short days. So having the extra magic hours really gave us a lot of value. But like especially during the summer months, the Disneyland Resort hotels are so expensive. I know that during the time that we're there, Paradise Pier rooms run about $400 a night. And then Disneyland rooms usually are $100 or $200 more than that. And then the Grand Californian, which is kind of the Grand Floridian equivalent. It is definitely the deluxe resort. Those rooms are very expensive. During the summer peak, they're usually like a few hundred shy of $1,000 a night. And really the only perk to staying at a Disneyland Resort hotel is if you do want those extra magic hours every morning, or if you just want, you know, the extra added service and touch of staying at a Disney hotel. So we were trying to consider, is it worth Paradise Pier for $400 a night for the added benefits of what you get from a Disney hotel? And unless you really need the extra magic hours, or if in kind of our case now, you really want that guaranteed reservation to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I don't think it's worth it for the cost. The walk from Paradise Pier to the entrance of the parks is actually longer than quite a number of the Good Neighbor hotels that are across the street from Disneyland. So you actually have a longer walk because they route you to kind of where the Disneyland Hotel connects with downtown Disney, so you have to walk all the way through there. So even though you are on site, your walk to the front of the parks is longer than it is with a lot of the across the street Good Neighbor hotels. But I mean, still, it's not too awful. And then at least with that, you're always kind of immersed in the Disney bubble. When we kind of ruled out that we can't make staying at an on-property hotel work, we looked into the Good Neighbor hotels, and for us, it was the most important combination of proximity, price, and general reviews. We knew we wanted something that was categorized as right across the street from Disneyland because obviously you're walking and standing so much that you want as quick of a walk back as possible. And also we didn't want something far away where you would have to pay for like an Uber in and out every day. We wanted something that obviously did not cost that much because we do not have that much money to spend. And then we wanted something that had, you know, decent enough reviews. We're really gonna only be in the room to sleep, so we just wanted something that was kind of nice enough. So we finally settled on and booked the Anaheim Hotel. Hi, I have Celix with me to join for this. So the Anaheim Hotel is right across the street. It's right off of Harbor Boulevard, and it actually looks right into or kind of across from California Adventure. So you can see Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout right from some of the rooms there. And I believe door to door, it's only a 10-minute walk in, which is quicker than if you're staying at Paradise Pier. Okay, that was enough on-camera time for Celix. He's like, get me away. So because we booked a full package, I can't remember the total breakdown in terms of what the price per night was that we got, but I think it was around $160-ish a night. And then with all the added tax and hotel fees, whatnot, I think that comes to a little shy of under $200 a night, which again, split between the two of us, isn't too bad. You can get maybe like a little bit cheaper at other places, but otherwise that seems to be pretty comparable for a lot of the right across the street resorts. The Anaheim seemed to have pretty nice reviews. It was relatively recently remodeled, and then it also kind of has a nice little mid-century modern vibe. On the Disneyland website, you can book your full Good Neighbor Hotel package right there. So I think for us, we definitely are very happy with what we were able to get and the price. So I think we're going to be quite happy at the Anaheim, and like I said, pretty much like from door to door, leaving your room to going through the park gates is only like a 10-minute walk. And then just recently, I officially booked my plane ticket out. We're flying in to the Santa Ana airport, which is the John Wayne airport. It is the closest airport to Disneyland. And so that means the cost of getting to the airport to the resort should be the cheapest. Of course, with LA traffic, things can always be crazy. But I know LAX, Los Angeles International, is like the big airport, but that is significantly farther away. And both Sarah and I, we could easily get direct flights into Santa Ana. I think the only time you wouldn't want to fly into Santa Ana is if you can't get direct flights in. But otherwise, that is the cheapest and probably your easiest way to fly in and get to the Disneyland resort. I think getting from the airport to the hotel, we're probably just going to get a Lyft. It seems like prices cost about, it's like a $20 trip that I've seen, people saying getting from that airport with a Lyft to the resorts. And so that's not too bad. Disney does offer their own coach bus service from the airports to the surrounding resorts, but it is not like the Magical Express in Walt Disney World. The coach bus there is just a paid service, and obviously per person price is greater than if you just got in a Lyft or an Uber. And then also if you're doing the coach, that obviously would be on a timed thing, whereas we're getting there on Sunday morning. I think our flights get in around like 9:30, and we're gonna, as soon as we can, wanna head off, drop our bags at the hotel, and get into the parks. So that was just talking a little bit about the Disneyland trip planning process. Like I said, it really is quite easier than planning a trip to Walt Disney World because you're not worrying about things like booking fast passes. At Disneyland, you don't make any fast passes in advance, so you can say, okay, what do we feel like doing today? And then you can maximize your time because, all right, this has no wait, or we'll go and make a fast pass for this, and then you can continually be doing something. And then also because so many guests are day guests or locals, annual pass holders coming in, if you get started right away in the morning, you can get so much done. But I'm super excited to be going back to Disneyland again and for such a long amount of time, and being there with Sarah, who is a Disney nut like myself. I'm also super excited, hopefully fingers crossed, to be able to see Galaxy's Edge. I feel like Disney soon really needs to release information about how to make reservations because people are gonna get stir crazy, like they're gonna want to be there right for the opening when they can. But hopefully it won't be too crazy while we're there. Like I said, thankfully we are going before it really is that full public opening, because I can't wait to see what the lines look like when people are trying to queue to even be able to get in. But thanks for watching.